It's called a regular boy's haircut.
Okay. All right. Do you want to hear the? Y'all want to hear game, set, match with God?
Okay.
Game, set, and
Game, set, and match. Okay.
Well,
And some of this I got with Rabbi Katz, and just some of it I got with Rabbi Bax, and I just took it and pieced it together. But before we get going here and get in our prayers, I'll give y'all a little quickie. The Torah says, "Whoever transgresses the words of the sages," which is the Hazal, okay, gets the death penalty. Do they? What's that?
I guess it could just get you off of the phone
Yeah.
Hey,
There you go.
should I take it or?
No.
Okay.
No, Stacy.
Stacy, I'm in class live, right here. So, do they actually die? If you transgress the words of this, how many people do not believe in the Hazal and the Talmud? Jews.
Well, what kind of death are they talking about?
Says it's capital punishment. It's Chai Misa, right? It says, and the Torah says, a goy that keeps Shabbat, Chai Misa, death penalty, capital punishment, right? Can't do it. Does it really happen?
Well, is it the spiritual death?
No. It's just prosciutto.
Okay.
We're not talking levels. Just prosciutto. Does it happen? No. If you break the Sabbath, you're supposed to die. Does it happen? No. Adam ate from the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. Was told he's going to die. Did he die? No. Why didn't Adam tell Eve something different? Why did Adam tell Eve something different?
Why did he tell her something different?
Yeah. God said don't eat it. What did Adam tell her? Don't touch it. Why did he tell her something different? So, who's the first rabbi? God. God's the first rabbi. Here's this thing. Don't do it. If you do it, this is what happens. And then Adam, what does Adam do? God just built a fence. You know?
Mm-hmm.
You know? God just built a fence. Don't do this. What did Adam do? Built a gate in the fence. For every fence that the rabbis have, there is a gate to get around that very thing.
That's because Adam was the second rabbi.
That's because Adam was the second rabbi. See? And it keeps on going. There is no, why? Because there's nothing here but God. Is God really transgressing himself? You see the problem. It's a deep thought concept to wrap your mind around. And I'm just going to throw this out there and y'all can do with it what you want. So whoever transgresses the sages must die. But do they? God told Adam not to eat from the tree. So Adam told Eve not to touch it. But they ate. Did they die? No. So Adam knew God was the first rabbi, and he made a rabbinical response to a rabbinical demand.
Mm-hmm.
A rabbinical demand was, don't eat of it. What's the rabbinical response?
Mm-hmm.
Don't touch it. It's a fence within a fence. That is a rabbinical response.
Mm-hmm.
So Adam was the first Gerim. Because if God is Adam Kadmon, then Adam has to be Gerim. He has to be the outer realm, which is Adam HaRishon. So we see 170, 170, 170, or 17. That's the only way it is. Or 67, 67, 67. There's no other way to do it.
Yeah, you just answered your question about Akiva.
Oh, I know. I know. Moses Akiva.
Yeah.
Moses Akiva. See what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Well, is Akiva a Jew? It doesn't matter if he's a Jew. What if he's not a Jew? What if he's Ger? What if, because he's the Gilgal of Moshe Rabbeinu? What if Moses is the Jew? Because his parents were not Jews. So it doesn't matter. What if he's just great Rabbi Akiva? The non-Jew, great. Right. It doesn't matter if he's Jewish or not. All right? So a goyim that keeps the Sabbath is Chaim Misa. But if a goyim keeps Sabbath, is he really a goyim? You see the trick in the question? Because a goyim is not going to keep Sabbath. But if a goyim does keep Sabbath, he's no longer a goyim, he's a gerim. And the only way for a goyim to get to gerim and gerim to get to Torah is keep Sabbath. Because that's the day in the world to come, and there's no prohibitions on that day. You see, because that's 4D. So Moses writes the Torah that contains all of the rabbinic Talmudic wisdom. This wisdom was oral, right? It was given orally, then it was written, and then it became prophetic. So we have the oral, the written, and the prophets. Then it became prophetic, which comes from Moses through the Torah of Shem. It comes to Torah B from Torah A, as it's distilled down, and it contains the 7 laws of Noah, because the 7 laws of Noah were actually the 7 rabbinic laws given to Adam in the garden, which is the secret of all the oral Torah. So the 7 laws were actually the oral Torah of the garden, which is why the whole B'nai Noach thing is 4D. And this established the rabbinics of oral Torah in the Gan itself. It proved that the rabbinic law and oral Torah and thought is a never not coordinate. It has always been there. Or God wouldn't have said, let there be anything. That's speaking into existence. This is called the rabbinics of the oral Torah. See, you thought Adam made a rabbinic fence, but it was God that made the rabbinic fence. He separated the light from darkness and said it couldn't pass, certain times. But then sometimes it does. We have an eclipse. So does it follow its natural law? Not all the time. There's those people that still come this day and say, you cannot study Torah, you cannot study Talmud, you cannot study the Zohar. Are they really understanding what they're saying? Or are they just begging the question? Or are they making a fence so that you can make a gate? It's all about making the rabbinic fence to do it. This is this thought ideology to where there's really nothing prohibited. If you think about it, nothing is really prohibited. I'll give you an example. The king of Israel shall not accumulate lots of wealth, lots of horses, and lots of women. What did Solomon do? Those 3 things. Was it really a prohibition? Or does it only involve prohibition here? What if you don't work it here? What if you have it here, but you're not working it there? Nothing applies to you then. So what was Adam doing? Adam, although he got here, he changed the course and made it apply to there. And that's why he was able to go in to do the tikkun. Because Adam and Hava are the tikkun for the whole thing. And it's already done. We just haven't seen it yet. And this is what God told Moses when Moses was on the deal. and he saw Rabbi Akiva, and was on Mount Sinai at the giving of the Torah, and he said, "Stoke, thus it's arising in my thought." Remember that whole episode? Mm-hmm. And then we've learned it's the stimulation from below, the malchut from below, that's rising in his thought. And if there's nothing here but God, and we sit back and say, "God, we've got you figured out," you're just trying to you're just trying to make a fence to go beyond yourself, to find out something new about yourself. Mm-hmm. Yet you're not limited by anything. So why do you limit us? Game, set, match. I got you. I can do whatever I want. Is it within reason? It's inside reason. You see what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So now I've got God in a corner. Game, set, and match. Now all he has to do is make a new game, and then I play on that board. You see what I'm saying? But this is the secret of why people, once you get to a point in your life when you know it's that God's in control of everything, and he's running the whole gig, and you call him on it, then that is the ultimate stimulation. That's the ultimate pop. Now he can go beyond himself once again, and this is the whole secret of the whole thing. But what happens? Some people just give up and they become apostate. Mm-hmm. When they see it, they become apostate, because as soon as they figure out there is no such thing as God, it's only Adam. That's what gets them. What does Akiva tell them? When you go in, don't say water, water. It's not God and Adam. It's not, you know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. It's not the Shekhinah and Adam. It's not. There's no two things. There's no such thing as God and Adam. Not there. It's either God or it's either Adam. You're gonna have to decide.
That is where God is Adam.
That is where God is Adam.
Exactly.
Okay? And I'm going to prove it. Now, so let's go ahead and we'll say our prayers. And then we got to get into the Park Sufim today. So anyway, that's just one of those little things that have been rolling around in my head.
But the whole deal with the fence, and then Adam comes in and puts a fence within a fence. Well, the Talmud is going to tell you that that's not to do that. Yeah. But if you put a gate in it, it's not really a fence within a fence.
That's right. It's a fence with a gate.
It's a fence with a gate, and then you go to the next fence with again, you put a gate in it, and the next fence, and the next fence, and the next fence. There comes the rings and the whole expansion of God's consciousness.
Because we know it. We know what is a prohibition on the Shabbat. Don't kindle a fire. Now, how did don't kindle a fire get to don't use your cell phone? You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Come on.
Fence within a fence, but all of them have gates.
Fence within a fence, but all of them have gates. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So,
and
you can't turn the light switch on with your finger, but you can use your elbow. Do what? Or you can't turn your oven on, but you can have a timer on it that turns it on. Yeah. That's a gate. So it's all. Will you learn it enough till you figure out how to get around God?
So the question is a fence a fence if it has a gate?
Is a fence? That's the question. Is a fence a fence? Is it, we got high fences now in Texas. Is it a high fence? Can you jump it? Or is it a low fence? Or is it just one pole where you can just straddle it and go over?
Oh, don't worry about it. Just walk through the gate.
Or just go through, or go around and go through the gate.
Just go to the gate.
Where's the prohibition? We have the whole milk and meat prohibition, right? Mm-hmm. Well, chickens don't give milk, but sooner or later they're going to add chickens. Guess what? Sooner or later they're going to add fish.
They have.
And they have because they can't not build the next fence and be the next one that builds a fence.
Right. God's consciousness has to expand.
That's right. Yeah. And this is rabbinics. This is Talmudics. And as soon as you say none of it exists, is the only time you can live within all of it and keep all of it. Because it's just an expansion in that moment from wherever angle God's coming from, you know.
Yeah.
And when what happens is there's a lot of people that call just BS on the whole thing, and they just throw the whole thing out, and they lose the entire wisdom of what it was designed for in the first place.
Yeah.
It's not that you have to do it, but if you have the conscience of why it was put there. Oh, so the whole milk and meat thing is really talking about Metatron. I get it. Game, set, match. You know, and it just telescoped out to finally it got to no. And it just that fence is designed to keep you dealing with that fence, looking for the gate, so that you don't really mess up something bad. You know, that's what it's for. So let's get into this. Today we get to study Torah. That was just a prelim.
That was a bonus.
That was a bonus.
Bonus material.
Bonus material. It probably didn't make sense, but it does when you think about it. Today we get to study Torah for the sake of heaven, for the sake of Israel and Jerusalem. And we'd like to give the merit of our Torah and the merit of our study to Stephen King, Abraham Ben Moshe Gilla, Ed Stribling, Linda Flora, Carly Searle, Brandon Walsh, Raymond Rosentrader, Book Gibson, Paul Navarez, Garrett Mallich, Patience Texas Oncology, Rita Wilson, H.L. and Betty Munkuski, Lola, daughter of Justin Lakeisha Neal, Berea One Staff, Elise Hagar, Nadine Freeman, Logan Willis, Billy Hope, Charles David, Rosa Honda, Christopher Durka, Noel Cardoza, David Douglas, Vicky McLean, Tom and Karen Maitland, Sandra Hayes, Carol Tinkle, Larry Langberg, Juliet Navarez, Blake Holland, Leela Briscoe, Sam Peake, Yehuda Hai Ben Matai Leah, James London, David Jenkins, Jake Suarez, Bobby Williams Sr., Sally Talamontez, Rogers Family, Holly Ward, Damian Washington, Carol Scott, Rabbi Richmond, Maurice Greenwood, Gracie Bell Linder, Brandy Boots, Amanda Elliott, Frank Pollard, Carol's Family, Babe Denard, Michelle Magnuson, Jenna Marie, Kimberly Brown, David January, Kim Lively, Crespin Rodriguez, Sandra Hurth, Virgil Williams, Brad Mace, Jocelyn Liver Nickerson, Jerry Matlis, Dylan Tinkle, Amber Merchant, Simca Ben Abraham and family, Celinda Sheffields, Louis Gutierrez and family, Aaron Price, Jathereth Carroll, Sonia Kinzer, Kathy John, John Mike, Christopher Ramos, Jean Son of Jock Coates, Nellie Warlick, Tila Buello, Miranda Roses, Jim Barfield, Nama Bat Simca, Terry King, Ronald Whitlow, Kathleen Graham Walsh, Brandon's family, Monica Rose, Monica Johnson, Ed and Dottie Garrison, Moshe Saloveychek, Donna Marie, Farar Sajid, Benson Ewing, Darlene Yaus, Debbie Henson, Anita Jones, Jessica Ross, Doug Eldridge, Bryant Welch, Salvador Gutierrez and family, Jacob Ben Simca, Phoebe Bridges, Max Wagner, Mark Matledge, Emily Botova, Jackie Cup, Naeem Bot Miriam, Carla Manzanares, Beth Carmen, Alton Tillman, James Rogers, Elvia Rosas, and Ashley. Now, ruler of the universe and master of all masters, Father of mercy and forgiveness, we thank you, our God of our fathers, by bowing down and kneeling. You brought us closer to your Torah and your holy work, and you enable us to take part in the secrets of your holy Torah. How worthy are we that you grant us with such a big favor? That is the reason we plead before you, that you will forgive and acquit all of our sins, and they should not bring separation between you and us. May it be your will before you, our God and the God of our fathers, that you will awaken and prepare our hearts to love and revere you. And may you listen to our utterances and nose our closed heart to the hidden study of your Torah. And may our study be pleasant before your place of honor as a aroma of sweet incense. May you emanate to us light from the source of our soul to all of our being. And may the sparks of your holy servants through which you revealed your wisdom to the world shine. May their merit and the merit of their fathers and the merit of their Torah and holiness support us, so we shall not stumble through our study. And by their merit enlighten our eyes in our learning instated by King David, sweet singer of Israel. Open my eyes so I see wonders from your Torah. Because from his mouth God gives wisdom and understanding. May the words of my mouth and thoughts of my heart find favor before you, God, my strength and my Redeemer. Amen.
Amen.
All right. Today is Innerspace 21. Now, put our thinking caps on here. Okay? Today we're talking about the part suits. Let me get my book. Part suits are on page 92. Now, what happens What happens with Nadab and Abihu? Right? They look and die, right? They stare and die. What happens with Abel? Stares at the Shekinah. What happens with Noah? Same thing. All these people, but we get to Moses, and Moses decides he's not going to look. And then what's the very thing he wants to do?
He wants to see the face of God.
He wants to see the face of God. Well, why didn't you just look the first time, Moses? Because once he didn't look, all he wanted to do was look.
Mm-hmm.
That's all he wanted to do. What does everybody want to do?
They want to look.
They want to look. And what? You can't see God and live. Right?
Once you tell them you can't look, they want to look more.
That's right. And Moses, don't y'all talk with Moses. I talk to Moses face to face. Right? Me and Moses, we talk friend to friend, face to face. Mm-hmm. All right? And we've gone over that whole Makloket of what's going on. All right? So, we're talking formulas, and we're talking Partsufim, but we're going to go a little bit. That part I said before class about those who transgress the words of the sages, do they really die? And all that, that's the little prelim I did.
Mm-hmm.
Those that a goy that studies Torah is Hayim Misa, death penalty.
Mm-hmm.
Now, so last week we talked a little bit about you can't look at the rainbow, right?
Right.
If you see the Shekinah, you what?
Turn your head.
You die. You die. All right. Now, do you see people fall out dying when they look at the Shekinah? Has never happened. Did they die? No. All right. I'm going to resolve the whole thing for you. Is anybody making it out of here alive? No. Because you looked at the rainbow, because you didn't do this, because you didn't keep the sages, all that stuff's going to add up, and guess what? You're going to die. All right? How you die is depicted, or the way you die, the capital punishment way you die, or do you want to die like the Talmud says, from the kiss of God, where it's like pulling a piece of hair out of a glass of milk. Your death is so easy. So the fact is, God can't lie. You will die. Just like all the men that go before us. So, we have to be real, we have to hold everything very loosely. Because God says what he means, and he means what he says. Now, just because you don't die then, doesn't mean you're not going to die. So what does Adam do? Adam sees from one end of the world to the other. And all these men died looking into the seven. Right? Going to get the 70, the 7 or the 70 that Lilith took out. Adam did it. That's why Noah did it. It says Moses stumbled with it. Solomon did it. Remember, the Ari says they all stumbled. Going to get to 7. So, what does Adam see about David? He sees he dies at birth. He was prematurely born. He dies at birth. So what does he give him?
7 years.
He gave him 70. Isn't it odd he gave him 70? Because everybody else went to get the 70, and he gave David 70. Because he lived 930 years. So 1,000 minus 70 is 930. All right? So now we have David has had how many wives? 18. He had 18 wives. All right. Now, the word vechai, chai is 18. All right. So we have Adam is 45, gematria 45, and chai is 18. So Adam v'chai. So look what it's. I'll go through this piece on the lesson, but if you have a Bible. In Shemos, this is in the Chumash. It's page 303 in Shemot. Exodus 3:6. He said, "I am the God of your father Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob." And the God and Moses hid his face, for he was afraid to gaze. He was afraid to stare. He was afraid to stare. All right. This hiding here is doing the. He's doing the tikkun for the peeking. But in Exodus 33:21, he said, "You will not be able to see my face, for no," look what it says here, "for no Adam." No Adam can see me and live. Hashem said, "Behold, there's a place near me on a rock," blah, blah, blah. This word is Adam v'chai. Adam v'chai. Now, if you'll go to Leviticus 18. And this is the same term that everybody uses, that the Gentiles, well, let's say the Ger, can keep the Torah more than the 7. Okay? This is the verse right here. Because it says, "You shall observe my laws, my decrees, which man shall carry out, and by which he shall live. I am Hashem." It doesn't say a Jew here. You see, this is the source, but what does it say? Which Adam v'chai shall carry out. So, if God made man in Adam's image, right? Then everybody is Adam, but you can't look at Adam either. Adam can't look at it, and 3D can't look at Adam's 4D self. The only way you can look at it is if you're looking at it from 4D. So what does God do? He brings Moses up, says, "Stand right here, and I'll pass by, and I'll show you my glory." And he did. And what does it do? That's where we get the 13 attributes of the beard. So here's what it says. I wanted to preamble all that so that we can look what the Leshem says about staring at the rainbow. And then we'll get into it. Because I was going to cover this from last week. Oh, man. There are color black and color white. The rainbow is white, red, and yellow. White is where the blue comes from. These are the same 3 colors of the eye. The eye is black, red, yellow, where we have white, red, yellow, black, red, yellow. It says this is a contradiction in colors, because the light went out of the eyes of Adam Kadmon, of Ak. What we know of seeing is only the backside of sight. So what we see is only the backside of true seeing. The black of the eye is the essence of the sight that comes from the primordial lightness. The whiteness in the eye is from the tzimtzum. and has no manifestation below. However, the black of the eye, which is the opposite of the white of the eye, can reveal a fractal of the highest light that we humans can use. All the sight of seeing is white in essence, but garmented in the black of the eye, concealing the entire matter. Thus the colors of the light are fractals of seeing. This comes from the highest to the lowest. The light of the brain of the mohin turns inside out and manifests as black. So what are we saying here? God saw the light and it was good. Mm-hmm. If the only thing he can make other than white is black light. White light, dark. White, day, night. All right? But this is coming from Ak. And so what God has done is he has made the pupil of our eye black so that we can see the white light. All right? So we can, as a portal. What we see is a remnant. We're just seeing a remnant, the outer bands of the white light. This is the Hawking's guy that just died. This is called Hawking's radiation. He even theorized this, but the Leshem is explaining it. When the union of the black light and the white light hits, it says his eyes are doves in the streams of water bathed with milk. That's from Song of Song. This is the stream of the mohin, the brain. And the milk is the white color coming out of the white color. This is the secret of the union and is dependent upon the eyes. Sex is what you see. The union of everything in this world is based on what you see. This is the secret of Noah. Noah said, I will see the rainbow and remember the covenant. Remember Yesod. I will remember the union of the whole thing when I see it. Through the colors of the eyes cause the colors of the spectrum to appear. Because the fractal colors. And so God says, I have placed my bow in the cloud. This is the secret of the union. As soon as the bow is lit up or erected, immediately he sees the eternal Yesod, the eternal covenant. However, when the virus gets in, he closes it up. The white disappears and the eyes are closed up. This is the black, red, and yellow of the dinim of the eye. When the 3D is looking at the holy, it turns it from white to black light. And it feeds the other side. This is called the other woman. This is why Rabbi Akiva said that Nadav and Avihu brought the Eish Zara and were unable to go in it, where the Ari is looking from the other angle. So the lower rainbow is in its fallen state because you see it with the black of your eye. This is an extreme prohibition. There is an extreme prohibition to stare at the rainbow, to look up and stare at it, because it is surrounded by the klipa. The seeing below causes the seeing above, and it becomes graphic. If this happens, you just cause a union with the external forces. This is exactly what Nadav and Avihu did. This is the secret of the Nakash and its union with Hava. So when you stare at the rainbow, look how beautiful that is. You are causing the Nakash to be able to have union with Hava. That's where the grade is. Okay? This is the sod of Shetufka, the other woman, that usurps her mistress and takes over her husband. This is the affair, the 4D affair. Now, therefore, Moses at the burning bush revealed. It revealed that the Shekhinah was hidden in the thorns of the bush. The bush, we know from Torah, was like a rose bush. It had the rose, which is the petals of what's called the lilies, and then it had the thorns. And the Shekhinah is embedded in these thorns. And this is when the Shekhinah says, I was with him in his pain. So he is asked to remove his 3D self, his shoes, and Moses turns away and does not stare. The term is not to stare. Hashem says to Moses, the image of the Shekhinah you must stare at. So what is it? Do you not stare or do you stare? What's the difference? Anybody know? Permission. You have to have permission. Because if you don't stare, the arousal won't happen. The image of the kavod on Mount Sinai was the consuming fire. And on top of, Hashem was on top of the mountain, and the eyes, and it says, the eyes of all Israel saw. Well, I thought it was a death penalty. Right? It wasn't. Not when you're invited. Eye to eye we will see that you are Hashem. Then the act of staring is the greatest tikkun you can possibly do. To look at it without being asked, that's the problem. That's like looking at it through a 3D lens. But if you're asked, if you're invited in, that's Holy of Holies. That's why it says, when I see her, I will place my yesod in her. This is what Noah replied about the ark and the whole rainbow scenario. Seeing is 4D. So 3 times a year, the men are supposed to go back to Jerusalem, right? And they're supposed to stop outside the city and look in. What is Jerusalem? The place of union. And they are required to look. Why? Because God has asked them to do that 3 times a year. They're literally invited to do that. And it's a mitzvah to this day. You must walk in. Why? Because the seeing the whole time causes union. That's why the men have to do it, because that's the house of the Shekhinah. The act of seeing is the arousal. This is the secret of male at the proper time. This causes great tikkun above and perfect union. Now the thing you can't look at, you must look at. This is the secret of Abel, Nadav, and Abihu, and why they died. They went in on their own. They did the right thing. They just didn't have permission. And fire came down and consumed the offering. And he stared at it. Now, let's see. That we'll just end it there, and that's why it said, "And God saw the light, and it was good," because that's a whole another dimensional level there. So anyway, you're not supposed to look at the rainbow, but there will come a time where you got to, when you got permission, and that is that's the whole Adam Vachai. So how much time we got? We got plenty of time. Okay, so let's get right into Spiritual Blueprint, right into Part Sufim, page 92. This chapter involves some difficult concepts. What we just went over was difficult concepts. Before we start developing the subject, we should quickly review the terminology and the interrelationships. The comprehension of this subject, it would be best for the reader to master this before going on to the explanations as follows. Originally, there were 10 Sefirot. We know that. When these 10 are divided into 5 groups, we have Keter, Hokmah, Bina, the next 6, and Malchut. As we discussed, these 5 divisions parallel God's name. Let's stop right there. What did they just teach us? Let's look up here. How about we look right here? What they're saying is everything's broken up into 5s. Why? Because there's 5 letters in the word Hashem, right? Is there 5 letters, or is there 4? There's 4, but the tip of the yud. Okay, so this is going to be the tip of the yud. This is going to be yud, hey, vav. Hey, so here's what they're doing. They're saying Keter, Hokmah. Now remember, this is turned around opposite. This is the left on for me, but it's the right for y'all. Keter, Hokmah. It's the right for me, but it's the left for y'all. Keter, Hokmah, Bina, the 6, and Malchut. Just like it says right there. Keter, Hokmah, Bina, the 6, and Malchut. This is called a part Sufim. Now you can have a part Sufim of 3, you can have a part Sufim of 10, you can have a part Sufim of 7, but it's a conglomerate that makes up something. Okay? Now, this is Yud, Hey, Yud. This is tip of the Yud, Yud, Hey, Vav, Hey. When you say Hashem or Havayah, you have just said Yud Hey Vav Hey, but this is Adam. These are the 10 sayings, the 22 letters, but this part Sufim is Adam. Everything about Adam. We're going to make man in his image and his likeness. Okay? So Adam is Yud Hey Vav Hey. Anywhere it says Hashem in Torah, you can plug Adam there. It's the same thing. There is no, this is going to be a tough concept. There is no such thing as God. Because is it Adam? Is it Adam HaRishon? Is it Adam Kadmon? Is it Arik Anpin? Is it the Or Ein Sof? Is it Ein Sof? You know, at what point do you go, oh, it's God? That is not a Jewish concept. It's always light overlapping, and all right, it's never the proverbial man in the white beard sitting on the throne. Now Daniel goes through that, but he's talking about a Reconpene. You know, the Ancient of Days. That's how we know. All right. So look what it says here. Keter is a little point of apex. We went through that. Second paragraph. The division of Sefirot into 5 represents the root of all 5s. For example, it explains that there are 5 levels of the soul, which we've gone on to. So we have 5 Hasidim and 5 Guvarot. We have the 5 levels of the soul, the Nefesh, Ruach, the Neshama, the Haya, and the Yechida. We have 5 times 26 is 130. Jacob lived to be 130. There's all these multiples, right? So what they're trying to say is there's a whole Partsufim involved here, which is Hashem. He only works in Partsufim. When there are 5 books of the 5 universes, 5 books of the Bible. The 5 universes are Asiya, Yetzirah, Beriah, Atzilut, Adam Kadmon. Okay? When they are rectified, the evil resulting from the shattering of the vessels here, each of these 5 groups of Sphirot become an archetypical persona or a Partsuf. The basic idea of a Partsuf involves the concept of awakening from below, stimulation from below. As Partsufim, the Sphirot must earn what they are given, and by giving as well as receiving. This is the mystery of Tikkun, the rectification. When the light was given to the Sphirot without any participation on their part, they shattered. It is only when they are rebuilt in the image of man, which really should be Adam, which includes male and female. See why that should say Adam there? Mm-hmm. And Adam, which includes male and female, giving and receiving, that they can endure. This is the secret of the 8th king. In Genesis 36. Thus, a Partsufim is characterized by its ability to combine disparate elements into a unified whole. It is for this reason that a Partsufim, a complete persona, contains 10 Sphirot. In addition, Kabbalists speak of the Partsufim consisting of 248 limbs and 365 nerves and veins, thus further paralleling the actual physical structure of a human being. Those are also, if you take those 2 numbers and add them together, you get 613. That's how many commandments there are. All right? Through the Partsufim, we have a spiritual counterpart of every human aspiration, every human emotion, and every human action. And Russell's been talking about that for the last 39 or 40 something days, right?
Mm-hmm.
Where we yeah. Those are the personas, personifications or actions of all human emotion. Mm-hmm. All right. It's called counting the Omer. This is one of the reasons why the Partsufim exist, so that man can exist and have a spiritual root in Atzilut. Each of the 5 groups of Sphirots thus develop into a Partsuf. Keter becomes a Recon Peen, which is the long face, and it parallels the Hebrew expression Eric Anpam in Exodus 34:6, which can be translated slow to anger. It's when he's seeing his face, right? Mm-hmm. Slow to anger, great in kindness. As well as discussed further, Keter becomes a Tik Yomin, Ancient of Days. Now, we might as well stop right there and explain those 2 little boys. Mm-hmm. A Rik Anpin and a Tik Yomin. Now, if we look up here on my board, if you're talking about, and I'll draw it here on this.
Yeah, draw them in there.
So what I did here, there's 10 Sphirot, right? So this is Keter and this is Malchut. But in the Sphirot of Keter, we have a Keter and a Malchut in there as well. Mm-hmm. Okay? So there's a name of the Partsuf in here. The Keter of Keter is called a Tik Yomin. Mm-hmm. The Malchut of Keter is a Recon Peen. Those are 2 of the names of God at that level. Or 2 of the names of Adam at that level. All right? A Recon Peen and a Tik Yomin. The top one is what's called the long face. And this one is called Ancient of Days.
No.
Right?
Other way.
A recon peen.
Mm-hmm.
A recon peen is the long face. And a tikio mean is Ancient of Days. Sorry, got them backwards. This is Ancient of Days and the long face. Why is this long? Because it's malchut. It's extending down. Okay? Now, then Hokmah becomes Abba, Father, Ima. The next 6 become Zeranpin. And the bottom one becomes the Nukva. Zah is called the small face. Okay? So it's broken up into an easy way to remember it. Great-grandfather, grandfather, father, mother, brother, sister. It's a family tree. It's a literal family tree. So we're creating the image and the likeness of a Partsufim. Guess what? Grandfather, grandmother, blah, 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 blah. All right? Same thing. The term, the second paragraph, page 93. The term used for the Partsufim are found in the 3 most opaque books of the Zohar. In the Zohar, you have the Sefer Denutza, the Idra Rabbah, and the Idra Zutra. These are the concealed books. They're secret books within the Zohar. The Zohar, in and of itself, is a book to conceal these 3 books. That's basically what it is. Now, these mysterious portions of the Zohar contain much of anthropomorphic symbolism. It is here, as well as in the Partsufim, are spoken about, constituting a kind of archetypical family matrix. A Recon Peen, or you'll hear it called Eric Anpin, but that's too hard to say from Texas. Eric Anpin is the grandfather, Abba and Ima, father and mother, Zah, and they're the children. Together, they contain every element necessary to complete a human being. Furthermore, in contrast to the primitive spherot of the world of Nekudim, the system of Partsufim introduces the dynamic process that involves God unfolding his plan for creation. These Partsufim constantly interact with each other in an anthropomorphic manner, combining and separating, expanding, diminishing, in order to execute this plan. In particular, the twin Partsufim, Zah and Nuk, are represented in various states of gestation, birth, and nursing, and finally maturation, depending on their capacity to transmit divine sustenance, universal, that lies below. Now, we'll stop right here, and we'll talk about this whole thing of Zah and Nuk. All right, in Kabbalah, Zah and Nuk, when they're together, when you're talking about them together, they're called Zun. Zun. So if somebody says Zun, they mean Zah and Nuk. All right? Now, Zah is Adam, and Nuk is Eve on one level. Okay? If we look at the whole spherot as Adam, Ima is Leah, and the Nukva is Rachel. So Jacob had those wives, Rachel and Leah. Now, if we say there is a backside, which there is, one surface, 2 sides, how many wives did Jacob have? 4. Leah, Rachel, Zilhah, and Bilhah. You see? That's why. Everything must work in the Partsuf, front and back. If you have Nakash 358, Mashiach 358, guess what you got over here? Nakash 358. Everything works in a Partsufim. Okay? So, when you've heard these terms, Godlut, Kotnut, right? This book just said that Za and Nook are represented in various states of gestation: birth, nursing, maturation, etc., etc. Za and Nook go through constriction, pregnancy, gestation, birthing, constriction. This is Passover, okay, and this is Purim. Yay! This is Haman. This is Mordecai. It just works like that. You see. So this is Passover. This is at Mount Sinai. So Za and Nook are always the ones in play. That's Za and Nook are always the ones in play. Israel is the Nukva relative to Adam, who is Za. And you can call that God. You could call that Metatron, the lesser Metatron. All right? Just depends on where you want to plug it. Ultimately,
what fence you want to
put up.
Yeah.
What kind of gate you want to install?
All right. Ultimately, the Sphirot and Partsufim represent different aspects of God's relationship with man and creation. Since this relationship is a dynamic one and a relatively confusing one, it is best described in anthropomorphic terms which allow us to relate to God in every human way. What is it saying? They're not saying, they're saying this is God's arm, this is God's leg, this is God's right brain, this is God's left brain, this is Abba, this is Ema, this is the Father. Those are anthropomorphic. What do they mean there? Does God have a right arm and a left arm? Come on. You see? They're using metaphors, they're using terminology so we can study God and give it strength and honor and persona. We can, and Noah walked with God. How? You see? So if we know that Noah is Yesod, and the Yesod is on a man, and when a man walks, his Yesod walks with him, it's real easy to understand how Noah walked with God. Because that is Adam. And it has to. Everywhere you go, it goes with you. So, this is what they're talking about by the anthropomorphisms. The truth is, however, that these anthropomorphisms are in no way meant to refer to God himself. See? By way of analogy, they are like a series of minute filters that God created in order us to draw near to him and still not be obliterated by his infinite light. We now take through these filters and examine them, and we can see a complex spiritual structure that is coded to perform certain specific functions. Taken all together, they resemble a master computer program that contain all the information necessary to fulfill God's primary purpose in bestowing good upon man. Using this analogy of the computer, let us say that we wanted to design a man. We would first make a sketch, then a detailed blueprint. If we wanted to achieve a more sophisticated result, we'd build a giant computer that would activate literally billions of machines to execute the project. What is the name of that computer? In Torah. Huh?
Metatron.
The name of that computer is Metatron. Exactly. What's the name of the program writer, the code writer? Metatron.
Oh, that old guy.
Yeah. The program is Metatron, the computer is Metatron, and the one writing it is Metatron. That is the interfaces of the whole thing. Now, if I blow it up, that's the big name. If I blow it up and look at it on my 4D screen that's all around me, I can say, oh, there's Michael, there's Gabriel, there's Uriel, Raphael, look who back over here on the backside. There's Uzael and Azael and Samael and all that, you see? But in the inside, it's Metatron running the whole thing too. These are only neural extensions of him, and we call this whole thing Adam, and some people call it God. And because now, see, think about this. The Simpson is this, right? Expansion, contraction. But I wish I think of a balloon. I don't have anything. Let's say I blew a balloon up. All right? And I squeezed that balloon in the middle and I pulled it to where it's bulbous over here and ain't nothing but the tight balloon over here, right? What is that called? It's called the Simpson, but what did I just do? I just went into contraction, Cottonute, and I just made myself longer to go beyond something further, and we're going to call this woman, we're going to call this Eve. The name of this strand that I made is called Nakash. The Nakash, you have to understand, and Mashiach is a result of Simpson. It's part of the process. It's what it develops. Because in order for God, for Adam, God has a Simpson, right? And then everything shatters. Guess what? It Simpsons again. And it's called Eve. Because it's the light of Ma. You think about it, Adam is pure light. The light of Ma from Adam Kadmon. It doesn't look like me and you. Only through a Partsufim can it start to have image and body. So through when that light 45 contracts and stretches, this is Hava and this is Adam. They're separated. It's also termed the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. It's also day and night, heaven and earth, Zah and Nook. It's everything. And it's a result of the Simpson. The only thing here is the Ein Sof and the Or Ein Sof going through Simpson. So and it had to do it to create something beyond itself that wasn't itself, that is completely foreign to itself, that thinks it's the only thing here. And with that, the whole virus and everything else is made. And so the great program, the program is Metatron, the computer is Metatron, the computer program is Metatron. Guess what? It got a virus. It got a virus. And that's what happened. All right? So the computer program built a firewall in it called the Keruvim that blow everything out that tries to get in there. And it sent its spike to fix everything, called the entire Jewish people, called the Torah. That's the program that rewrites it and fixes all the thing is called the Torah. So that's what that part of that is. Now, where are we at, Russ? Oh, this is exactly the biblical count of Genesis 1:27. Traditions understood. God created man in his image. I just went over, God doesn't have an image. So how can he create you in that image? You see the problem. But I told you how he did it. This is traditionally understood as created man in his image. However, the proposition B can mean in his image or with his image. In this case, the correct meaning is with his image, not in his image, because he has no image. Thus, the verse really means God made Adam with his image. Rashi understanding of this verse that points out to the conclusion, since God cannot be described in terms of image, his has the function of possessive objective, and the verse is referring to an image God created. If you understand this Rashi correctly, he is saying that the tzelem, the image, is the blueprint or the prototype that God created. He created an avatar. That's called Adam Kadmon. And Adam Kadmon created an avatar which is called Adam Harishon. And Adam Harishon made an avatar called Adam Blia'al, and it got contaminated. You know, it didn't run right.
Was it Blia'al because it was contaminated, or was it
Blia'al
that
is a result. Blia'al, it's kind of the result. It's not because it was contaminated, but there you have to understand there's an aspect of if you're given faulty parts, is it not run right?
Right.
You see them. It's following a crack. There's it's already shattered in Adam Kadmon, so you're working with.
So by the time it's expanding, it's stretching itself out, it's becoming more and more faulty till you get to where it's.
Because if God is perfect, what can He create? Imperfect. See his problem?
He creates imperfect.
That's the only thing. That's the only option He has. He has no other option. Something that is the opposite of Him, He can only make something the opposite of Him. And so He has to make something imperfect, something with an orla, or something that will get an orla, something that is contaminated. The only way He can do it is to try to separate it as far from Him to allow it to morph and get contaminated, so that it can be something completely different, opposite of Him. Then He can bring it back and clean it off and have something. Once He brings it back inside,
something more than what He was.
Something more than what He was. But He has to make the imperfect first. So that's the $1 million question. Why did Adam do what he did? Did he have to do what he did? He was programmed it was set up to do what it did. He couldn't not look.
Right, he could not look.
He couldn't not look. The rainbow was in the room. Oh, look, that rainbow. Bing! Done. He couldn't not look. So, and I don't care how big our ego is, we do the same thing on a daily basis with our life. Don't eat pork. What everybody do? Eat pork. Don't keep the Sabbath. What do you do? Oh, I go to church on Sunday.
Yeah.
It's simple.
Yeah.
Don't kill anybody. Oh, well, you're dead. No, nobody can do it. They will say, "Oh, I wouldn't have done that." Fact is, just because of what they're doing, they're lying already. And everybody's looked at the rainbow and stared at it. So, and where we at? All right. we're about right there. Let's stop. Rashi's understanding right there at the Salim. We're going to stop page 94. It let us make man in our image and our likeness. And then we're going to go through a recon peen and all that good noise. Let's see. Part 6 is pretty. And that's I don't even know if we're going to need to go through Adam Kadmon, because once everybody has their bearings here after the Part Sufine, you should pretty well have it. The rest of the book, because the rest of the book is Adam Kadmon and the Tzimtzum. Yeah, we'll probably.
I think you should do the Tzimtzum.
You think I should do the Tzimtzum?
Yeah, because that's such a big concept.
Yep, we covered a lot of it today.
We did, yeah. I mean, you've really been covering a lot of it all along.
Yeah.
But I guess you
well, yeah, we need to go there because people may not know what the Ein Sof or Ein Sof even is.
Right.
Yeah, we got to cover the terminology. So, all righty, Torah is amazing, sages are amazing, and we'll see y'all next week. There's Ben Oz and Ben Zoma. What'd they do? They looked. See y'all later.